Hello, everyone. I'm back. No sling today. I just thought I'd do an update, man. I know it's been a while. People have been asking me again with this whole shoulder issue. So let me step back a little bit. So April 2018, I decided to do the arthrosurface replacement, which is basically a titanium cap over the humerus in the joint, and then a small plastic on the glenoid side. And that replacement is designed for younger patients that still want to be active, and so I felt that it was the best option for me at the time, so I went ahead with it. I had high hopes going into that. Went through the recovery process. It wasn't as bad as I thought, but I never could raise my arm. I thought something was wrong. I was like, man, like the doctor just, I felt like he thought I was making stuff up, but the fact is I couldn't raise my arm. So we did injections and manipulations under anesthesia, and we even did an exploratory procedure with the same doctor who did that replacement. And he came back with nothing. He's like, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what to tell you, basically. So I kind of felt helpless because here I was. I literally couldn't even raise my arm, couldn't hardly move it, do anything. So I started checking in, trying to find a new doctor, someone that would do something, help me do something. So I talked to a couple surgeons, and with my history on the shoulder, they kept pointing me to someone that specializes in it. It's not your typical case, I guess. So I had trouble finding anybody, and my wife urged me actually to call a Mayo Clinic and submit my case to them, and I just kind of did it on a whim. And like a month later, I got a call from them and said they wanted to talk to me and that they wanted to explore my case, and then they ultimately decided to take me on. And I flew out to Phoenix for my first visit, and right off the bat, after a few kind of physical test in the office with the doctor. He goes, I can tell you right now what's wrong. He goes, your subscap's torn. And I was like, what? It's never even been mentioned. And even as I just mentioned, we did an exploratory surgery, and you would think if my subscap was torn, that would have come up, but it didn't. So I kind of went with it, and we did a CT scan to kind of confirm, and correct, the subscap was barely attached to the humerus up on this side. So the subscap kind of comes from behind your shoulder blade and wraps around your arm, kind of attaches here. So anyways, it was just mangled and it come off the bone. And I started thinking, well, the first arthrosurface replacement, they have to cut through the subscap in order to open your arm up to get to the replacement pieces. So I was like, well, maybe it just never healed right. I mean, who knows? But again, I would think that would have come up under the exploratory procedure that I had with that original doctor, but no. So anyways, I agreed to have the first surgery at the Mayo Clinic back in Phoenix. So we did that in, December this last year, December 19. Okay, yes, it was torn. They patched it, cleaned everything else up, and I remember the day after when I was in the hospital there, the day after, he's like, unfortunately, this isn't going to be your last surgery. He's like, man, your shoulder's an absolute disaster. But he's like, heal this up. Let's see if we can get that subscap to reattach. With so much trauma right there, it was iffy. They had to use a dermagraft to lay down on the humerus, and then they put the subscap on top of that and sutured it to that to hopefully hold. And I still I kind of had high hopes with that, and I healed up better, but man, the fact is I still some of the pain was gone, but man, I still couldn't raise my arm. I just couldn't raise my arm. So I went back started going back in April, May, back to Mayo in Phoenix, and he's like, the only other thing I can do is we just need to do a full replacement. just kind of the old school replacement. And I was very hesitant because I've read horror stories on it. But this was the first doctor also at Mayo that I felt truly had my best interest. And he was an athlete himself. And I just felt like he was guiding me in the right path. So I finally agreed to it. So I ended up doing a full replacement in June. Just I'm 4 months post-op right now, and I tell you what, I haven't felt better. I can't believe I waited this long to do it. I don't know what I was thinking as far as my limitations would be, but I'm already back working out, halfway throwing the baseball with my son again. I never thought I'd get this far back. I can finally see some of that atrophies going away and getting some muscle back to look halfway normal again. But I mean, I can raise my arms, not fully, but I mean, I couldn't do this 6 months ago. I mean, there ain't no way. So anyways, I have a full replacement. And the biggest difference when he went in there and took the arthrosurface, I think they call it a hemicap or whatever. When he took all that out, basically what he told me is, one, the ball, the cap was too big. And I later compared that on x-ray, and it just looks totally different. It looks like it was oversized and probably should have never been there. But on the glenoid side, on the socket side, basically the arthrosurface, the new layer is, let's just say, the size of a dime, let's say, but your glenoid is a lot bigger than that. So basically the arthritis had come over and just, saturated the glenoid joint again. So this new one covers the entire glenoid, so that won't happen. So, but basically I was bone on bone again, even with that arthrosurface. So I never had a chance to raise my arm. It was just locked. It was never going to happen. So once that got all cleaned out, just went ahead with the new replacement. Obviously the kind of the old school where they cut the top half of your the ball of your humerus off, and they put a whole new socket down with a pedestal. It's not as big as you think. It's not like crazy deep, but old school used to go down halfway down your arm, but now it's probably a quarter. But anyways, I went ahead and did that, like I said, 4 months ago, and I never felt better. I can't believe I waited this long. Knowing that I don't feel like I have any limitations now, I would have done this years ago. I really regret doing that, and probably would have saved 3 or 4 surgeries, because this was number 8, all on the right shoulder. So anyways, I feel great so far. I checked in with the doc, I don't know, a few weeks ago, and he was amazed by the progress. And he said, give it 8 or 9 months, to go fully on it. But like I said, I'm back working out, riding my road bike, my mountain bike, doing a little bit of weightlifting stuff. Obviously there's still limitations on that, but like I said, I haven't been able to do, especially ride my bike. I haven't been able to ride my bike in years because of that. So, but anyways, so far so good. So, thank you for all the messages, and I hope this helps, but please feel free to ask any questions. I'll check in later.